If you know me, one of my favorite things to talk about are conspiracies. Some conspiracies I do believe to be true, some are debatable, and some are so outrageous, it's wild. So these conspiracies are ranked S, A, B, C, D. A level S, I believe, is 100% true, or at least I believe it to be true. A B is might be true, might not be. And a level D ranking is just completely outrageous. So in 1977, Princess Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris. Now this all happened only 1 year after her divorce from Prince Charles. The major conspiracy surrounding her death is that it wasn't an accident. It was all a planned and calculated murder. At the time of her death, she was dating Dodi Fayed. He was an Egyptian film producer who actually died in the limo with her. Now there are rumors that Dodi Fayed was actually planning on proposing to Princess Diana the night she was killed. And Dodi Fayed's own father, Mohammed Al Fayed, feeds into this conspiracy that they were killed. According to him, the monarchy couldn't stand the chance of an Egyptian and Muslim guy being a part of the family. So that's the first conspiracy behind her death. The second part of the conspiracy says that the drunk limo driver, Henry Paul, crashed the car on purpose. Henry Paul was the head of security at the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Some believe he worked for a national intelligence group that wanted Diana dead. And there's also this picture that the paparazzi took just moments before the crash, and he looks scary and determined. There are rumors that quite a few people are involved, and there are rumors that the monarchy was actually the one behind it all. Now personally, I don't really care about the monarchy, but I do care about Princess Diana. I may not care about the others, but Princess Diana, I loved her. So I actually do understand how this conspiracy even came to be. But is there some truth to it? You see, there is something about that picture of the driver's face just before he crashed. There's just something about his face. I'm putting this one at a C. I wouldn't put it against the royal family. The Salem witch trials began in December 1691 in Salem, Massachusetts. It all started when the village girls began to act strange. They started to slur their speech, become manic, and have fits, or they could also be quiet and keep to themselves. One of the girls who displayed this strange behavior was 8-year-old Abigail Williams, and her family became terrified when little Abigail began crying out that someone was pinching and biting her. Her family would look and there was no one there, but still Abigail would continue to cry out. Her family tried to reason with her, but little Abigail would not budge. They couldn't believe what's happening. They became so scared that they immediately sent for the doctor, and the doctor too couldn't think of any logical explanations until, of course, they thought of witchcraft, the obvious logical answer, and the authorities forced these girls to name the witches who caused this. And over the next 8 months, a total of 20 people were killed over witchcraft, as well as 2 dogs. This witch hunt was very sad and tragic, but what caused it? Were these teenage girls wanting attention, revenge, or was it something more? Well, there's actually a conspiracy that the witch trials were caused by bad bread. You see, the summer of 1691 was a wet summer. Do you know what grows well in wet environments? Ergot. Ergot is a really toxic fungus that, like I said, grows in wet conditions, which can also lead you to having fits, mania, and delirium. So did these villagers eat this bad bread and cause them to have this strange behavior and blame it on these poor witches? Honestly, who knows? To me, it's kind of far-fetched. I mean, there is a lot of evidence, and there was actually also a diary written by a farmer which did say that the summer of 1691 was really stormy and wet, so it is possible. But when you look at the other side, these people could have just been cruel without any explanation. I'm putting this at an A because it could be rational. There's an 80% chance it is true, but I do think people are awful. You know, you never know. The Illuminati conspiracy says that there is a global elite society that is either in control of the world already or is trying to control the world. The Illuminati began as a secret society under the direction of Jesuit priests, and later this group became a council of 5 men, and these men were known as the Enlightened Ones, because Illuminati means enlightened. The plan of this council was for world domination, and they do this by controlling the mind. They brainwash society through thought control and manipulation, and they do this by controlling what you're taught in schools, what you see in the news, and by controlling political propaganda. Now they also control the major banks. So the Illuminati is in charge of creating the inflations, recessions, and manipulating the world's market. The Illuminati can actually use the world's market to their advantage. So for example, if there was a world leader that the Illuminati liked and favored, they can manipulate the world's market to favor that leader. But on the other side, if there was a world leader that the Illuminati didn't favor, they can manipulate the world's market to undermine this world leader. So essentially, the Illuminati is in complete control. Now the Illuminati does all of this to convince us that globalism or new world order is needed. Nowadays, anyone can be a part of the Illuminati. I mean, there are countless predictions on who is a part of this elite group. With all that said, do I believe the Illuminati to be real? Well, yes and no. Yes, meaning I do believe a lot of what we see and learn about is controlled and regulated. I mean, it's no secret that our news is regulated, our school is regulated, but do I believe the Illuminati is behind all of this? My answer ranges from I'm not sure to no, not really. I mean, according to my research, the Illuminati was behind the Kennedy assassination, Tupac's death. This conspiracy has become so famous and so outrageous that it's really hard to separate the outrageous, crazy claims from the rest. I'm thinking about putting this at either a B or a C, just because I'm not sure. Some claims do have merit, but the rest are just fabrications. I think the fabrications do outweigh the merit, so I'm gonna put this at a C. In any emergency plane landing, passengers are told to assume the brace position. The brace position is sitting with your feet on the floor, wrapping your arms around your head, and placing your head against the seat in front of you. When you are told to assume the safety position, you would assume it's safe, right? Well, according to the conspiracy, this position is not safe at all. This position will kill you instantly by breaking your neck and preserves your teeth, so it could be used for body identification later. Now, there are a lot of benefits for the airline, because by breaking your neck instantly, the airlines does reduce their medical insurance costs, and the more people who die, the less people to sue. However, with all that said, this has been fact-checked and proven to be false. So what this brace position does is, for one, it reduces flailing, and two, it reduces secondary impact. So when you take all that into account, the brace position does lead to fewer or even prevent any injuries at all. And there also have been a lot of studies in medical journals that confirm these claims. So I'm putting this one at a 5 because it has been fact-checked and proven to be false. After Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the US government started a major study called Project Sunshine. Now, the goal of Project Sunshine was to study the effects of nuclear fallout on the human body. But there was a conspiracy, and according to this conspiracy, the government was stealing dead bodies for this radioactive testing. Now, the question is this just a conspiracy, or is there some truth to this? And actually, it is sort of true. The government would actually steal parts of dead bodies, because for this study they needed young tissue. So government agents would go out and find young children and babies who had just died and steal their limbs or even parts of their body. And I say steal because they did all this without getting any permission or even notifying the family members of these dead kids. So this conspiracy is very disturbing, but it did happen. I'm putting this conspiracy at a 2. It did happen, but some facts are a little bit embellished, but it's still just as disturbing. Project MK Ultra. You may have heard of it because it's known as the mind control experiment. During the 1950s and 60s, in the middle of the Cold War, the CIA got scared. They were obsessed with the Soviets' advancements, and in America's mind, they couldn't keep up. The CIA was convinced that the Soviets had actually developed mind control capabilities, and this is what started Project MK Ultra in 1953. This project was approved by CIA Director Dulles, and headed by chemist Sidney Gottlieb. Sidney's goal was to actually create a truth serum that could be used against Soviet spies to gain intelligence. Now, this study was all about mind control, but to control the mind, you had to go through 2 phases. Phase 1 would involve completely wiping the mind, and phase 2 would involve inserting a new one to fill that void. Next, Sidney gathered the test subjects, and according to Sidney, these subjects were people who could not fight back. These included drug-addicted prisoners, marginalized sex workers, and both mental and terminal cancer patients. This project went across 80 universities, hospitals, and institutions, and it was done with the utmost secrecy. Each one carried out torturous experiments, including electrocution, verbal and sexual abuse, and dosing the subjects with LSD. And it wasn't just LSD. To wipe the mind, they would use LSD, opioids, THC. After they completely clear the mind using the drugs, they would do a multitude of things to fill the void. One thing they would do is use hypnosis to create fear in the subjects. Another thing they would do was repeatedly play tapes of noises while the patient was unconscious for long periods of time. They did this to try and reprogram the minds, but this left the subjects with incontinence and amnesia. A lot of people suffer from psychological damage from going through all that torture, hallucinations, being injected for the drugs. There was so much that went on in this experiment that was beyond unethical. It was a violation. Now, everybody in the CIA tried to keep this a top secret. They actually used secret code names, and when it was all over, the CIA director actually tried to remove and erase all files, but he missed a few. But it's because he failed that we now know about one of the most heinous cover-ups in American history. It's not just a conspiracy, it actually happened. So this one is obviously going to an S. According to this conspiracy, in the 1960s, the Canadian government paid a professor to help figure out a way to detect homosexuality in federal employees. They wanted to figure out who was gay and who was not. So this professor went out and developed a machine that measured your pupil dilation in response to same-sex erotic imagery. Now, if your pupils dilated in any way, you are gay. And we can't have gay people in office when they are obviously a threat to national security. So the Canadian government actually used the results of this machine to exclude more than 400 men from the military, the civil service, and the Mounties. So is this just a conspiracy, or did this actually happen? According to my research, it really did happen. However, the project was dropped for many obvious reasons. Well, for one, your pupils do dilate when you're attracted to someone, but it also dilates in response to light. For example, when an image with the lighter contrast changes to an image with the darker contrast, your pupils show the same reaction as the dilation. So that was just one of the many obvious problems with this experiment. I mean, this experiment is so flawed and so unethical, but it did happen. So Canada's gaydar machine experiment is actually going to an S. So Area 51 51 is a US Air Force military facility that is located in Nevada. Now, there's a lot of secrecy surrounding Area 51. In fact, employees at the Area 51 facility have to fly in and out every day in unmarked airplanes just to get to work. And satellite imagery of Area 51 was censored until 2018. That's how secret this whole thing is. But what we do know is Area 51 has been used as a testing site by the CIA for this high altitude aircraft called U-2. Once the CIA was finished with their testing, U-2 was put back into service and Area 51 was used to develop other aircraft. I mean, we only know all of this because on June 25th, 2013, the US government acknowledged Area 51 for the first time when the CIA approved the release of declassified documents on what they were working on with the U-2 aircraft. Since then, there hasn't been much other info on Area 51. Because of this secrecy, there are so many conspiracies. Apparently, there are aliens, there are UFOs flying in the sky. These rumors started in 1989 when a man named Robert Lazar claimed to have worked on extraterrestrial research in Area 51. Lazar told TV reporter George Knapp that he actually saw autopsy photos of aliens and that the US government was examining alien spacecraft inside this facility. Now, Lazar has been discredited countless times, and the CIA themselves have refuted these claims. According to the CIA, those UFO sightings were actually sightings of their aircraft U-2, and there has been no evidence of aliens in this Area 51. Now, with all that said, I don't really believe Area 51 is the home for alien research. I mean, you can never say never, but is it though? I mean, if I say I believe it, I look crazy. But am I crazy, or are you trying to make me look crazy? That is the question, and I don't have the answer for that right now. Honestly, I'm putting this at a C. I might be wrong though. Now, the Finland isn't real theory says that the country of Finland doesn't exist. Apparently, the landmass that Finland supposedly occupies is actually open sea. According to the conspiracy, Finland was actually fabricated by the Soviet Union and Japan to ensure fishing rights in the Baltic Sea, which supposedly surrounds this made-up country. All that just means that Japan would be able to fish in the waters without any legal implications. Now, I personally can't confirm or deny if this theory is true or false. I have never been to Finland. I have never seen a Finnish person before in my life. They only exist in movies to me. I have never heard them talk. I don't know. Because even if I do meet a Finnish person, how do I know they're actually Finnish? They could be a paid actor. This is a real mystery, and I'm putting this at a B. It's a mystery that needs to be solved. All these Finnish people need to be intensely questioned. I do believe they're hiding something, and we need answers. The 2012 conspiracy theory, also known as the world is going to end theory. Yeah, this was horrible to go through as a super gullible child. So a quick recap on why everybody believed the world was going to end in 2012. The Mayan calendar ends in December 12, 2012. A Mayan priest, for whatever reason, doesn't extend the calendar past that date, and now everybody believes the world is gonna end. I mean, makes total sense, right? Now, the other part of the 2012 conspiracy was this idea of planetary collision. Many people believed that the planetary alignment of the sun and all 9 planets was gonna change in 2012. This would result in planetary collisions that would not only destroy all life on Earth, but also on all the other planets. Now, obviously, this was false. Scientists all over the world have said repeatedly that it was false. I mean, it was bogus from the start. But this conspiracy theory was traumatic to me as a child. I mean, there was even that movie that came out called 2012, which, you guessed it, the entire population was wiped out in 2012. That movie scarred me as a child. Imagine being a little Indian girl and watching the entire Indian population being wiped out by die your worst fear, a tsunami. They could have chosen anything else, but they chose a tsunami. This was such a stupid theory, and I can't believe I fell for it. You're going to a D. So that's all the conspiracies I have for today. Make sure to subscribe because part 2 of this video will be coming out soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!